World War III. It's not so far like it was several years ago, huh? When and where it can start? What is the possible scenario? Many conflicts arise all over the world. Do these conflicts will be everywhere? Can they grow into a global war? And if it starts, does it end catastrophic nuclear war and all humanity just stop to exist? Let's answer these questions. The first scenario, Russia against NATO. The main thing what we need is to understand that outcome of events can be unpredictable. Some of these events we cannot even imagine, but like it was during two world wars, there will be several opposing sides. The first what comes to mind is the USA and Russia. And both of them have own allies. Yeah, despite the war in Ukraine, Russia has allies as well. These are Belarus, Venezuela, and Serbia. Not so strong allies, but still. People from these countries can become volunteers in Russian army when it comes to global war. In Belarus, there is a small production of weapons. Poor in comparison even to Russia, but it goes. But I'm not sure about Venezuela. South America country don't want to be an enemy to the USA. The USA have friends all over the world and huge economic impact. And Canada, Australia, and most European countries will be on the side of America. These are first which come to mind. We understand who's in the winning position, but this doesn't change the fact that Russia will be a problem. During World War III, Russia will continue to seize Eastern Europe. Like I was thinking, he won't stop in Ukraine. This is just the beginning for him. And it may seem from the outside that I've put up and prepared for such an outcome. But no, I just tell how it can be if Ukraine will surrender or lose. And I hope it won't be like that. After a little break, Putin will start a new war. I'm sure Belarus will be on side of Russia. And also, Putin has already brought it out of the nuclear-free status before. So even if Belarus starts to talk back, it has no leverage. Ukraine has the same status. By the way, that's why Putin was so brave and sent troops. Putin will likely start new war with Georgia and Moldova. They aren't members of NATO, and it'll be easier to grab them first. Next in line, Latvia and Estonia. They were in the USSR. So, of course, after Putin wins Ukraine, he wants to return them back. And last Baltic country, Lithuania, for dessert. But here's the thing, these countries are members of NATO. So if Putin starts military actions to grab these territories, NATO will respond. And military power of this alliance is not even close to Russia. It can respond immediately. Or alliance leaves these territories. Why to provoke Putin, right? The second scenario, mess in Eastern Asia. Let's have a look on another region, Eastern Asia. And on one of the strongest country of this region, China. Relations between the US and China cannot be called friendly. After all, they're keeping a trade war. Donald Trump, not wanting China gates the American trade market, raised the tariffs on Chinese products. And China responded in the same way. However, such a war is more harmful to the United States than to China. Also, I have a question for you. You can answer on it in comments. Who do you think win this trade war? China or America? Or maybe no one? Let's return to our topic. This trade war began before the war in Ukraine. Now, the United States has warned China of serious consequences if it helps Russia with weapons or helps come over sanctions. America does real pressure on China, so Beijing can respond and even become an ally with Russia. This is not the only cause of World War III. Did you hear about conflict between China and Taiwan? Taiwan is an island near China. It has its own constitution, army, and elected government. This small state wants to be independent from China. Beijing considers the island like its province. Some Taiwanese politicians are proposing to stop calling Taiwan as China and formally declare independence. This idea irritates Beijing even more. In January 2021, the Chinese authorities threatened Taiwan with war if it continued to insist on its independence. Since then, Chinese planes have been flying near the island almost daily, causing a backlash from Washington. China has warned the US that any attempt to secure independence of Taiwan from China will be met with a strong Chinese response. Chinese defense minister said that China will fight for control of the island at any cost. To such a statement, the US President Joe Biden replied that China was playing with fire by threatening Taiwan. The US military will intervene if the island will be attacked. Familiar script, right? With Ukraine. Russia will gladly take Chinese side because they have the similar politics. That's why Third World War may break out here. However, it's hot not only between China and Taiwan, war between North and South Korea. That's one of the nearest dangers. After World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided into two parts. American troops occupied Southern Korea and Soviet troops Northern Korea. Everything was quiet before President of North Korea Kim Il-sung started a war. The conflict of two states began in 1950. He wanted to unite all Korea and be in charge. The war lasted for 3 years and with no luck for North Korea. And for all this time, they were in state of war. I believe that the United States and the United Nations are behind of South Korea, and China and Russia are behind North Korea. Lately, it seems like two countries decided to put old conflict aside. Whatever the case, North Korea has nuclear weapons, and it doesn't seem like it wants to refuse of it. So, if North Korea won't like anything, it just presses the button. And in fighting against South Korea and the USA, Kim Chen-in will have a friend, Russia. The third scenario, China against Russia. Like I said before, Russia will likely take Chinese side, but maybe China won't support Russia. Because despite the fact that Beijing don't openly criticize Putin about war in Ukraine, it's not as smooth between them as it seems. In Chinese history textbooks, it's very often recalled that almost all Siberia, including Western Siberia right up to the Tomsk region, is temporarily lost Chinese territories. Did you know that? Because I didn't. What was my surprise when I knew that in the bookstores of China, geographical guides are sold which show part of Russian territories including Primorye, Sakhalin Island, Eastern Siberia and many others as belonging to China back in BC. And this is not just propaganda, but a national position. The leaders of China spoke about the historical injustice that the second half of the 19th century Tsarist Russia captured over Chinese territory. Today, China claims primarily the Amur region, the south of the Khabarovsk territory, Primorsky territory, parts of the Trans-Baikal territory, and Buryatia. I want to tell you another fact that proves that this is true. In 2014, Chinese President Xi Jinping came to Germany, and Chancellor Angela Merkel gave him an unusual gift, the first accurate map of China, compiled in Germany in the 18th century. From this map, it's clear that many territories of China, a significant part of Siberia and the South China Sea in modern history are part of the Russian Federation. It was 8 years ago, and now Xi Jinping shakes hands with Putin. But it seems to me that China won't miss the opportunity to return its territories. Moreover, American investors are willing to invest in Chinese companies. That's one more reason to become a friend with America. But China will help on particular conditions, that part of Russian territory will go to China. As a result, NATO may go further to recapture territories that are occupied by Russia. And when the alliance reaches Russia, it'll start negotiations. In the course of such negotiations, some Russian territories will go to China as an assistant in the war. Also, NATO may set conditions for Russia to close weapon factories, so that it had no chance at all to attack again. And all the federations of Russia become independent and only Moscow will remain from the state. And final fourth scenario, nuclear war. Sounds really bad, doesn't it? In truth, I cannot even imagine how it'll be if it starts. But maybe we even won't feel a thing. Because when I see this nuclear power of influential states, I feel bad. The USA officially has 3,750 nuclear warheads in its arsenal, and it's only official. And these not some small rockets, they're huge. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, the USA has it all. China from its side wants to increase the number of nuclear warheads because it expects war with the US. American military officials fear China is preparing to launch a surprise nuclear strike. At the same time, people who are close to the Chinese leadership argue that Beijing won't be the first to start a nuclear war. The nuclear arsenal of China was only a few hundred warheads, but that number could rise to at least 1,000. North Korea also has a nuclear weapon. It started to produce it from 2005, and now we don't know for sure how many of it North Korea has. Many influential countries have tried to persuade North Korea to give up nuclear weapons, but with no luck. So apparently, if a nuclear war breaks out, it'll be a catastrophe on a planetary scale. But maybe the war didn't start because everyone understands how dangerous it is. And another question, can a nuclear weapon guarantee peace? And what will be if somebody refuses from a nuclear weapon, while others have it? What do you think? We were talking about Ukraine like the beginning of World War III, but how many wars can start after it? The military potential of some countries doesn't just impress, but terrifies. Perhaps the long-awaited peace will begin after a global catastrophe. Please, I want to live a little. If you like the video, support it with a like. Subscribe to the channel, the content is promised to be very interesting. Share this video with your friends and click the bell, so you don't miss a new portion of brand new world news. If you want a little discussion, that's great. I'll respond everybody. See you.